excited to connect with you guys, and we're going to answer a lot of questions. So come on and join us. Dr. Ornish is just popping in. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
We are going to have quite the webinar. So on Tuesday, we had some technical glitches, and those of you that stuck with us were true troopers. We switched over to Facebook Live, and we were still able to hang out with more than 200 of you guys. So if you were there earlier on Tuesday, thank you for bearing with us. Today, hopefully there's no technical glitches. And we got the man, the myth, the legend himself. Dr. Ornish, can you hear us? Dr. Ornish, we can't hear you. On the top of the screen.
There you go. You got it.
All right. Yay.
Perfect.
I so apologize. My wife's father's funeral was yesterday, and we were spreading the ashes, and it took longer than we thought. So sorry to be so last minute here, but thanks for having me.
No worries. No worries. We're glad that you could join us, and obviously I'm just super sorry to hear that your father-in-law passed away.
Well, actually, it's a good example of the power of lifestyle, because he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, given 4 months to live, ended up living 4.5 years by making many of the changes we talk about. So that's just an N of one, but still it indicates again how transformative these lifestyle changes can be.
100%. What better teacher to have than Dr. Ornish himself?
It's fantastic. For those of you coming in, we have a poll right now. We love to know what type of diabetes you're living with. You can vote there. So far, we have 50% with type 2, 11% with prediabetes. Type 1.5 is coming in strong with 5%, Cyrus.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you're coming in right now, there's a total of 160 of you guys here already, which is fantastic. We're expecting probably a little over 300 people tonight. So please vote on the poll that you see, and then also in the chat box, tell us where you're from. Today we're going to be giving out a bonus to anybody from Sweden. So if you're from Sweden, cool. If not, you can lie to us, and maybe we'll still give you a bonus.
Funny, you don't look Swedish.
What's that?
You don't look Swedish.
Oh, that's great.
So, Dr. Ornish, you were just on the Ellen show a couple days ago.
I was.
How'd that go?
It was fun. We had a good time. It got a little surreal at the end, because I was talking about a scene from the movie Game Changers that James Cameron and Luis Hoyos did, that should be out any month now, where we've talked about this before, where James Cameron and his wife Susie went on a vegan diet about 10 years ago. He's also an explorer, as well as obviously a great filmmaker with great films like Titanic and Avatar and Terminator. And he learned that more global warming was caused by livestock consumption than all forms of transportation combined. So he went on a plant-based diet, and mainly for environmental reasons, and was surprised how much better he felt, how much energy he had. I got to go visit the set where he's making avatars 2, 3, and 4 at the same time, just to give you an idea of how much energy he has. But anyway, there's this film called Game Changers, where the biggest misconception about eating a plant-based diet, or for that matter, making lifestyle changes in general, is that, how powerful could that be? It's just lifestyle changes, right? Should needs to be a new drug, a new laser, something really high tech. And so he made a film about all these elite athletes who, that you don't get enough protein and you're a wuss. So basically, he got all these elite athletes who lifted their game when they went on a plant-based diet. They became the national mixed martial artist champion, or heavyweight boxing champion, or they've got Olympic medals, or NFL superstars, and et cetera. But I was one of the medical experts in the film, and there's a great scene where they had 3 guys, elite athletes in their mid-20s, and they fed them a single plant-based meal, meat-based meal, and they used, organic chicken and grass-fed beef and all this kind of stuff. And then they measured the frequency of hardness of their erections at night. And then the next night, they did the same thing, but a single plant-based meal, and did the same thing. And after the single plant-based meal, all 3 guys had between 300 and 500% more frequent erections. When guys sleep, they have erections. It's just kind of a natural phenomenon, keeps all the plumbing going. So 300 to 500% more frequent, and 10 to 15% harder erections after the single plant-based meal than the meat-based meal. And I love this because, in fact, the athletes are going like, where are you going to take your date on Valentine's Day? Like Veggie Grill, And the film crew shot at became vegan after shooting this, because it really is a game changer. Because so often people think, oh, I'm going to change my diet to prevent something really bad from happening, decades down the road. And that's very hard to sustain. But what I talk about in my new book, and Undo It, is how dynamic these mechanisms are, how quickly you can feel better, or worse for that matter, when you make these changes, after even a single meal, your brain gets more blood, you think more clearly, you have more energy, you need less sleep, your face gets more blood, so you look 10 or 20 years younger. You know, I'm 96, I look pretty good. Your skin gets more blood, your heart gets more blood, your sexual organs get more blood in the ways that we're talking about. And so then it becomes an equation like, oh, if I do this, I feel good. What I gain is so much more than what I give up, and that's really what makes it sustainable. So it was a little surreal talking with Ellen, you know, who's obviously a self-professed, professed is the wrong word, acknowledged a gay woman, talking with a gay woman about erections, you know, on the national TV. And she made like, what does this have to do with me, right? So she made all these, you know, feigned all these funny expressions, and but afterwards told me that she really enjoyed it. And for me, it's like a nice Trojan horse, because then it reframes the debate from fear of dying to joy of living. That, you know, what you gain is so much more than what you give up, and after a single meal, it's not about even waiting very long.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what? Ellen has such a great sense of humor too. And I remember when I first saw Game Changers, it was like 3 or 4 months ago. I saw that scene with, you know, that you're talking about here, where the football players are getting harder erections as a result of eating a plant-based meal. And I said to myself, that is brilliant, because that's the scene that everybody's going to be talking about. That's the scene that's going to convert most men into becoming plant-based eaters. They're going to say,
That's
oh,
right.
I can get a bigger erection, boom, and then they switch over. That's it right there.
Well, just look at the sales of, you know, Viagra and Cialis and all these drugs like that, because there's a need for it. Because, you know, one of the themes of my new book, Undo It, is that all these chronic diseases are systemic. They're not just in one organ. They're in all of your organs. So, you know, it turns out that the best predictors of heart disease is if a guy has problem getting an erection, because the arteries to your penis are clogged, and the arteries to your heart are probably clogged. The arteries to your brain are probably clogged. You have a higher incidence of stroke. So when you make these changes, eat well, move more, stress less, love more, these changes improve so quickly that not only does your sexual organs get more blood flow, but your heart does. I mean, I've been writing for years that even a single meal can affect blood flow to your heart, but that's not as motivating for guys as to your sexual organs. It really does get people's attention.
Right.
It really is, you know, the guy earns at the end of the film. So this is a game changer for people who have penises and for people who like people who have penises. Not fall into either category, but still love the story. Recognize the motivational part of it. Because Ellen's vegan too, and both for cruelty issues and global warming issues and feeding the hungry issues, as well as for health issues. So anything that kind of brings people into that doorway, whatever doorway you take, you know, all roads that lead to Rome, it's part of the conspiracy of love.
It's fantastic. You mentioned your book, so I'm going to publish a little box in the lower right corner so people can click a button and go learn more about the book. I know it's selling very well right now. I just checked on Amazon. It's number 14 of all books. It's fantastic. Why don't you just give everybody a little summary for this book and why they should grab it?
Well, thanks. And it would actually be a big favor to me, because, and to the field actually, because we're very close to making enough sales to be on the New York Times list. Most of my other books have done that. And when it goes on the list, all the good things begin to happen. The retailers, the bookstores put it in the front of the stores, they discount it, they promote it. And to me, awareness is the first step in healing. And so again, part of the conspiracy of love, if we can make this in the New York Times list, then we can help so many more people, empower them. Because over the last 40 years, the research that I've directed has shown, in fact, everything we've done was thought impossible, has redefined what's possible for people and giving them new hope and new choices by showing that these same simple lifestyle changes, a whole food plant-based diet that's low in fat and low in sugar, moderate exercise, like, you know, just walking half an hour a day and some strength training, various meditation and yoga practices, and what we call psychosocial support, which is love and community or intimacy. You know, eat well, move more, stress less, love more. Boom, that's it. The more diseases we study and the more underlying biological mechanisms we look at, the more scientific evidence to show how well these programs, these simple changes can work and how quickly you can feel better. So we showed first that heart disease was reversible, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity. We found that when you change your lifestyle, it changes your genes. We published a paper with Craig Venter, who was the first to decode the human genome, that over 500 genes are changed, turning on the good genes, turning off the bad ones. That we did the first study with Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who got a Nobel Prize for her pioneering work with telomeres into our chromosomes that regulate aging. And we showed for the first time we could lengthen them. And when we published this in The Lancet, They sent out a press release worldwide, and they called it reversing aging at a cellular level. We're now doing the first randomized trial to see whether these same lifestyle changes may reverse the progression of early stage Alzheimer's disease. And so the radical theory that I put forth in our new book, along with my lovely wife, Anne, is that I was trained, like all doctors, to view all of these chronic diseases that I mentioned as being fundamentally different diseases, different diagnoses, different treatments. But I really think they're all the same disease, manifesting and masquerading in different forms. And that's why the same lifestyle changes can prevent and reverse all of them, because it's really the same disease. That's why you often find that the same person will have more than one condition. They'll often have high blood pressure and high cholesterol and be overweight and have type 2 diabetes and heart disease and maybe a stroke and so on. Or whole countries like in China 50 or 60 years ago had almost none of these chronic diseases. But when they start to eat like us and live like us, then they often die like us. So they have the same diversity of genetics. But if you're, for example, even if you're genetically not very efficient in metabolizing animal protein or dietary fat or sugar, if you're not eating that much of them, then those differences really don't matter. They only express themselves when people start eating a more westernized diet. And so it makes it radically simple. It's not like you have to do one set of diet and lifestyle changes for reversing heart disease, a different one for prostate cancer or high blood pressure or whatever. And also explains why under doctor's supervision, most people, when they're told they have to take these medications to lower their blood sugar or their blood cholesterol or their blood pressure, and they say, doctor, how long do I have to take these? What does the doctor usually say? Forever, right?
Forever. Yeah.
It's not reversible. You're going to keep it for the rest of the week.
Because we're not treating the cause. But if we turn off the faucet around this sink that's overflowing, if we treat the cause, which are really these lifestyle choices, eat well, move more, stress less, love more, our bodies often have this remarkable capacity to begin healing, and much more quickly than we had once realized, if we can treat the cause, which are really these lifestyle changes. And so I even give examples in the new book and Undo It of a guy who had such bad heart disease, he was told he needed a heart transplant. And while waiting to get a donor, went through my reversing heart disease program at UCLA, and after to get in better shape for the surgery, and after 9 weeks, his heart improved so much he didn't need the surgery. It's like, what's the more radical intervention? A heart transplant or eat well, move more, stress less, love more. It shows how powerful these approaches can be. And I think our unique contribution has been to use these very high-tech, expensive, state-of-the-art scientific measures to prove how powerful these very simple and low-tech and low-cost interventions can be.
Yeah. I just want to put in another plug for the book, Cyrus.
It's
so good.
Forgive me for being so shameless here, but if you ever want to if you can buy the book either today or by the end of the day, Saturday, then it'll count towards the New York Times list. We're right on the cusp of being on it. So if you're thinking about this, will be a
Mastering Diabetes Family. I promise you guys, just for the recipes alone in this book. I mean, right here, I got Indian vegetable curry up, and he also has the nutrition facts in there, which is very important for people following our program. It's very eye-opening for people to see as they go through each recipe how much fat is in whole foods. So yes, it's a low-fat diet, but we're not talking about a no-fat diet here. You get plenty of fat by eating the whole foods in this book to absorb fat-soluble vitamins and have optimal health.
It's also a great Father's Day gift if you want your father to stick around a lot longer than Anne's father did. So I highly recommend it as a gift of love.
So movement is also a huge part of the Mastering Diabetes approach. And I mean, the book literally teaches you how to move your body. When I saw this, I was very surprised because most books about plant-based nutrition, they kind of touch on exercise or give you this sort of general idea that exercise is good for you, but they don't go into detail about what specific exercises to perform. So, I mean, this is just like one of the many gems that you'll find in this book. Guys, pick this up, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so last time we did a webinar with you about a month ago, we didn't have time to go into Q&A. So this entire webinar is about questions and answers. And we got a lot of people who are very curious who want to speak to the legend himself. We have 344 people currently watching this, and questions are flying in. So
I hope I didn't disappoint you.
Okay, so let's go through a lot of questions. Now, another thing too, if you want to speak directly with Dr. Ornish, leave your phone number in the chat box. Robbie will be making phone calls, and then you can actually talk, and we will be able to hear you live. So the first question.
It's 50 cents per question, just so you know.
No, it's one book per question.
All right, first question comes from Don. He says, Dr. Ornish, I have read and applied your book Spectrum for the last 3 months. I'm adhering to the diet, which yields the best results I've ever had. I've lost 30 pounds. My blood pressure is now normal since I've been diagnosed with severe but not critical heart valve disease. I am currently asymptomatic at this time, but I'm told the valve will just get worse over time. I'm wondering if eating the diet that you recommend in Spectrum will have any effect on the valve itself.
Well, first, I think it's congratulations on what you've done so far. And you're a perfect example of what we talked about earlier, that you were able to get off of the medication that you've been on under your doctor's care. You made one set of changes, but all these things got better. You lost weight, a lot of weight. You're off the medication, feeling better, et cetera. Now, we haven't studied valves direct, but anecdotally, sometimes people find that it may slow the rate of progression of the disease, particularly if it involves calcifications or cholesterol deposits. So the nice thing about valves is you can look at them non-invasively using echocardiograms and check them. Let's put it this way. Worst case, it's only going to help you in other ways, because many people who have valve disease also have coronary artery disease, and they're synergistic in a negative way. That you can get into kind of a downward spiral if you have enough blockages in your arteries and you're not having a valve that works well. So it can certainly help you in that regard. And just under your doctor's care, monitor your valve and see if these diet and lifestyle changes make a difference. At worst, it won't hurt you, unlike most things we do as doctors. And at best, it may help delay for some period of time the need for surgery. It'll certainly help to prevent the blockages from occurring or to reverse the ones that are there. And you'll just feel better in general. So I would say give it a try and then let me know how you're doing.
Okay, it's fantastic. It doesn't hurt to try. There's no question about it. And I think you're right. There isn't. I haven't personally seen research specifically about the improvement in heart valve function, but we know just how beneficial a plant-based diet can be for overall cardiovascular function, for reducing the damage caused by existing coronary artery disease, by improving endothelial function. So what do you have to lose? Next question, Leslie. She says, I'm trying to eat a plant-based diet, but every time I try, the carbohydrates affect my eyes. They get all blurry. Whether I'm eating beans, fruit, and starchy vegetables, they make my blood glucose go up and they start blurring my eyes. What is happening and how do I avoid this?
Well, you can eat a vegan diet that's not very healthy. Potato chips are vegan, Coca-Cola is vegan, donuts can be vegan. So the trick is to eat a whole foods plant-based diet that's naturally fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, as they come in nature. And the reason why that keeps your blood sugar low is that, if you have an apple or brown rice, the fiber, first of all, fills you up before you get too many calories. Second, it's very not dense in calories because fat has 9 calories per gram and protein carbs have only 4. So you're going to get fewer calories with the same volume of food if you eat more on the plant-based end, low-fat plant-based end. And third, that you want to reduce your intake of sugar and white flour and white rice, because when you remove the fiber in the bran, when you go from whole wheat flour to white flour, from brown rice to white rice, the fiber not only fills you up before you get to many calories, but it slows the rate of absorption from the gut into your blood. So instead of getting these wide swings in blood sugar that cause your blood sugar to spike, your pancreas makes insulin to bring it back down. Those repeated insulin surges over time downregulate the insulin receptor. That's what causes type 2 diabetes, is this chronic overstimulation of the receptor that binds insulin. As you know, there's a big difference in type 1 and type 2. Type 2 diabetics generally have more insulin they're being produced, but the receptor that binds it has become desensitized. It downregulates, and you get what's called insulin resistance, and over time that can lead to type 2 diabetes. But when you change your diet, particularly if some people are more sensitive to carbohydrates, you may be one of them, but just really cut back on refined carbs, the sugar, white flour, white rice, high fructose corn syrup, various juices, and just eat the fruit, the whole fruit, or brown rice, or whole grains that are not mixed with white flour. And then you'll find that your blood sugar will come down and your insulin receptors will become more sensitive, which is why most people who really do this in the way that we recommend it under their doctor's care can reduce or who have type 2 diabetes can reduce or get off of insulin altogether. And actually, the American Dietetic Association says that getting your blood sugar down with drugs doesn't necessarily prevent the horrible complications of type 2 diabetes. You're all too familiar with them, blindness, kidney failure, amputations, heart attacks, strokes, impotence, and so on. But if you can get it down, and also there's a tendency to get blood sugar too low, which creates its own problems. But if you eat the kind of way that we're talking about, and you can bring your blood sugar down, according to the American Diabetes Association, if you get your blood sugar down below a hemoglobin A1C of 7, if you can do it naturally with lifestyle. And by the way, it's not just diet, but stress also affects your blood sugar and your insulin receptor sensitivity. So when you can combine all, and exercise makes you more insulin sensitive and helps to burn the sugar. And social isolation creates more problems that when you have love and intimacy, actually your blood sugar improves. I mean, they've actually done, I'm sure you know, studies of race car drivers before and after a race, their blood sugar is higher, or tax accountants around April 15th, or students after finals when compared to before. Independent of diet, stress will raise your blood sugar, stress management will lower it. So when you can do all these things together, my guess is that you can really minimize the refined carbs. You'll find that you can get your blood sugar down to a normal level without the problems that you've been having.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better ourselves. We have Monette on the phone here. Can you hear us?
Hello there. How are you guys?
Good.
We're doing great. Thank you.
Awesome.
What would you like to ask Dr. Ornish?
Well, Dr. Ornish, first of all, I'm a type 2 diabetic of about 18 years. Currently, my A1Cs are averaging 6.7, and I need to lose about 100 pounds. That's been a challenge for me for about 18 years. With that being said, I'm very new to the program, approximately 5 days, where I happen to run across the Facebook Live, and I have no idea if I'm going in the right direction or not. I did eat today. I tested my blood levels about 30 minutes ago, and 30 minutes after my dinner, my glucose level was 179. I can tell you what I ate today for breakfast. I had a vegan smoothie from Smoothie King, which was pineapple spinach. I had some coffee with creamer and sweet and low. For lunch, I had grilled shrimp and romaine lettuce. I know that shrimp is not plant-based. For snacks today, I had popcorn, cantaloupe, olives, and for dinner, I had corn, tomatoes, onion, bell pepper, some watermelon, tablespoon of butter, and it was right after that I had the glucose level of 179. So I have no clue if I'm hitting or missing marks or even headed in the right or wrong direction.
Well, one of the themes of the reversing, the Undo It book, which is really about reversing disease, like what you're talking about, is that the reason we were the first to prove that you could reverse all of these different chronic diseases in controlled studies is that most people didn't go far enough. It takes a lot to reverse disease. It's not a simple thing. I wrote an earlier book that you mentioned called The Spectrum, which was based on the idea that the more you change your lifestyle, the more you improve. But if you're really trying to reverse it, or if the moderate changes that you're talking about don't go far enough to get your blood sugar down, big changes likely will. But I mean, without going through and parsing out all the things you've been doing, when you have a lot of fruit juices, or when you have, what did you have for breakfast again?
Okay.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
I think it was a smoothie from Smoothie King.
A smoothie, that's right. You like a fruit smoothie is like going to give you tons of sugar, and you remove the fiber that would, if you just had the apple or the berries, the fiber will fill you up before you get too many calories, as we mentioned, and it will slow the rate of absorption so you don't get these spikes in your blood sugar up to 170 something. So there's room for improvement there. Again, since we don't have time to kind of go through everything in detail, the Undo It book is really designed for people like you who want to reverse their type 2 diabetes, hopefully reduce or get off the medication. The Appendix A has 2 weeks of prepackaged meals. We don't have any, I have no financial relationship with any of these companies, just to help you get a jump started and just say, eat these foods, and then you'll see the results, and then you'll want to learn how to cook the recipes that are in the books and how to modify ones that you're already eating. So I think you're off to a good start, and now if you want to go the rest of the way, here's how you get the Undo It book. It'll tell you how.
Manette, I can promise you it'll be the best 18 hours you've ever spent in your entire life.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it really explains everything. So go ahead, get started, and keep us posted with your progress. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, you got it.
Okay, Robbie, I got one question here from Sabine. While you can maybe dial up the next phone number. She basically wrote this whole long post, but she said she's been part of the Mastering Diabetes program back from 2018. She's getting incredible results. Things seem to be moving in the right direction. The one thing that's a sticking point is that her blood pressure seems to continually be high. She doesn't understand why that's happening. Do you have any suggestions as to what she could continue to improve to bring her blood pressure down?
Well, again, I would change. You're doing great with the diet. I think that you also may want to look at your sodium intake, because sodium causes your body to hold on to fluid, and then when the fluid builds up, it causes the pressure to go up. The stress also, again, it's not enough to just change diet. Diet's important, but it's not the whole story. And if you can also do the meditation and the stretching and breathing techniques that are in the book, exercise is really important for your blood pressure. I don't know if you're overweight or not, but to the degree that you can lose weight, that'll generally help your blood pressure go down. And loneliness and depression make your blood pressure high. And so to the degree that you can spend more time with your friends and family and loved ones, and especially if you can do all these things at the same time, there's a more than additive benefit. It's almost synergistic. So the whole is really, it's exponential. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So if you eat well, move more, stress less, and love more all at the same time, there's a good chance under your doctor's care that you can reduce or even get off of these blood pressure medications.
100%, absolutely. Okay. John, you're live with Dr. Ornish. Do you have a question for Dr. Ornish?
Yes, I do. Dr. Ornish, my name is John Dill. I want to thank you for saving my life in 1999 when I read your book and reversed heart disease. I knew about you way before 1999. Nathan Pritikin was on 60 Minutes or something back in the 70s, and it seems to me you were on TV back then too, regarding one of your earlier studies about reversing heart disease. I was just wondering if you remember that date you would have been on TV. When would I have first heard of you?
Well, the first study I did was in 1977, over 40 years ago. And we published it in 1978. And so it might have been around that time that we were doing our first studies. So I'm glad that you, I'm so glad to hear that. It makes my day to hear that it saved your life and that it benefited you. And hopefully it still is doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had you in the back of my mind all that time. And when I started having really severe chest pain in 1998, 99, I found you on Yahoo and found your book, and I read it, took notes, did it meticulously. And it really was a game changer. And so anyway, I don't want to take too much time up, but I've been just really, really curious. If I did see you on TV, I thought that I did. I thought it was a program like 60 Minutes or something like that.
I can promise you Dr. Ornish has been on TV many, many times, so you had a lot of opportunities to see him.
I'm curious to know, in what way did this help you?
In what way did it help you, John?
I'm sorry. Well, first of all, it gave me an alternative to having heart bypass surgery. Mm-hmm. And I was desperate. I was really having trouble with severe angina pain. And when I read the book, I didn't even get done with it, really. And I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to go on the diet, see if I can do it. I didn't think I'd be able to, but I did. I continued reading the book, but it took me another couple of weeks. But after a month, I'd lost so much weight. I was already feeling better. The chest pain was gone after a month, but I stuck with it for a couple of years. And life caught up with me, and I went back on the standard American diet at some point. And the next time I started having health problems, it presented itself as type 2 diabetes. And that's how I ended up with the Mastering Diabetes guys. But really, Nathan Pritikin, Dr. Dean Ornish, and then you guys at Mastering Diabetes, you guys have really been my mentors. It's helped me with heart disease. It's helped me with blood pressure. Type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes is completely gone. It completely resolved itself. It's just been a really fantastic life changer for me. And anybody who's not in the Mastering Diabetes program right now, they should get in it, and they should read Dr. Ornish's book too. I've read all your books, Dr. Ornish.
Thank you. And are you still pain-free? Do you still have no more angina?
What was the last one?
Are you pain-free? No more angina.
Oh yeah, no, the angina pain has been gone for a long time.
Isn't that great? I mean, because so often I hear people say things like, I couldn't walk across the street without getting chest pain. I couldn't make love with my spouse or partner. I couldn't, go back to work. I couldn't play with my kids without getting pain. And then after a few weeks, like you found, a month, you're pain free. And then you say, okay, what I gain is so much more than what I give up. Or I like eating junk food, but not that much, because, if I have to choose between having no pain and, having a cheeseburger, I'd rather have no pain. The cheeseburger is not that important to me. Yeah. And then when you add sexual function, global healing, feeding the hungry, all these other conditions that it can help prevent or reverse, it's a pretty easy choice.
Absolutely.
Yes. About the only other thing that's happened to me along the way, I'm a 68-year-old male, and I developed pretty severe BPH, which has been totally benign. I've got, I've got PSAs and so forth, and those are all good, but I wish I could get that thing reversed.
Well, let me know how you do, and thank you again for calling. I really appreciate it. It's very inspiring to hear.
Yeah. Thank you for your work, Dr. Ornish. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay.
Absolutely.
Dr. Ornish, you're a popular guy. You got 403 people who are tuning in to listen to this whole thing right now.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. I've seen about 2 people write in the chat box that they've ordered the book. Can I get 50 messages before this webinar is over? Can 50 people write in and say they bought the book? Honestly, it would mean the world to us, for all of us, to New York Times bestseller list. And guys, we've done a lot of free webinars. We've done a lot of stuff. Like, if you want to, pay us back a little bit, buy this book tonight. $18, $13, $14 for Kindle is totally worth it. So let's fill this chat thread with "I bought the book."
Thank you.
And the reason that it's so important is not only because you're going to get information that will improve and potentially add years to your life, but just like Dr. Ornish said earlier, every book sale that happens right here and right now goes towards making this book hit the New York Times bestseller list. The second it hits that list, the book gets spread farther and farther and farther to more bookstores, to more TV shows, to more podcast interviews, you name it, and the message spreads like wildfire. Spread this message. This is very important.
Yes, it's one of the things I talk about in the book is that when somebody comes to see me, they say, like, I want to change my lifestyle. I say, well, why? They say, well, I want to live longer. And I say, well, why do you want to live longer? They go, gosh, no one's ever asked me that before. I just assume everybody wants to live longer, but a lot of people are depressed and lonely and really don't. And what I find is that meaning is the antithesis of depression. And if it brings you a sense of meaning, what you're doing in your life is meaningful, then it's sustainable. And so here again, obviously I have a self-interest in you buying the book, but beyond that, as these guys and these amazing guys were saying, when you, at this critical juncture, we're really close because of the Ellen show, and I was on a number of other media shows during the past week, we're close to kind of that threshold of what it takes to get on the New York Times list. The how-to in his list is the shortest one, and it's got the most competition. So we've been as high as number 2 on Amazon of all books this week. I think we're now around 12 or 13 of all books, including fiction and nonfiction. So if you find it meaningful to know that by ordering the book now, you're not only going to be helping yourself, or if you buy this as a Father's Day gift, you can help someone else, but also if this can be the last part of the tortoise and the hare that gets us across the finish line and gets on the New York Times list, then they'll do all the things that can really make this available to a much larger group of people. And I find that really meaningful. And if you share in that, then I'd be grateful.
Absolutely. The chat box is starting to fill up with same people saying I bought the book, and that just makes us so happy.
Go ahead, make my day.
Keep it up, guys. Keep it up. Honestly, if we could see that number on Amazon move, if we leave this webinar, and that would be like,
that'd be incredible.
Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Okay, so we have Leslie on the phone. Leslie, you're on with Dr. Ornish.
Okay, Dr. Ornish, you were answering my question earlier, but I needed to explain some more things. I reversed my diabetes 4 years ago, and I'm just. Oh.
Yeah, you can turn the volume down on your computer.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm insulin resistant now, and I'm really trying to do a plant-based diet. But more?
Well, what's the question?
So, when I'm eating the fruits and
the good starches and the good carbs, it immediately goes to my eyes. Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay, that's okay. We can hear you. Hear us until we talk.
I think, didn't you call in earlier, or is this the same person I spoke to already?
Did I call the same number? Did we already call you? No, I think Cyrus, you must have brought your question. So I'm sorry I called the same person.
Right. It's all good.
So I think I'd love to give time for someone. I appreciate your call, but I'd like, since we have limited time, I'd like to be able to talk to someone who hasn't yet had a chance to talk, if that's okay.
Yeah, we're gonna dial a number, but if you have any further questions, email us, okay? And we'll help you out, okay? Okay.
Hold on, Robbie. My cat would like to ask a question. Can we?
Hello.
Say hi. Okay. Robbie, while you dial up the next person, Cindy asked a question. She says, Dr. Ornish, what is your recommendation to improve eyesight? Are there any foods I should avoid in addition to meat, dairy, and oil?
Well, you know, it's interesting. A lot of people, the eyes are the one place that you can actually see blood vessels without having to cut anything in the back of the retina. And when your doctor looks in your eyes and they dilate your pupils so they can see better in there, you're actually looking at the blood vessels in the back of your eye, which are a good reflection of not only what's happening in your eyes, but what's happening in blood vessels all over your body. And there are a number of people a number of studies that have shown that when people make these changes, this diet and lifestyle program that is described in my new book, Undo It, that their fundus, the vessels that are in the back of the eye, show improvements, in terms of blood flow and so on. Certain foods, when you eat a plant-based diet, you're getting a double benefit. You're not eating the things that create problems, not just in your eyes, but throughout your body. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of other substances that have anti-cancer, anti-heart disease, even anti-aging properties, but also things like lutein and zeaxanthin and some of what are called the retinols and isoflavones that really affect your fundus, your vision. Also, by keeping your blood sugar in more normal range, it not only helps your diabetes, but also helps your vision, because one of the complications of diabetes is that the blood vessels that are in the back of your eye can sometimes actually bleed, which can cause even partial blindness. And so, like I say, it's a system. Think of it like a spider web. All of these things interact with everything else. So when you really go on this program, all these things that we can measure, the more diseases we study, the more organs we look at in your body, the more scientific evidence we have to show how quickly these changes can occur, for better and for worse. For better when you make the ones that I recommend, of course, and how many different organ systems are involved when you do that. So it's not like you have to do one set of diet and lifestyle recommendations for treating diabetes and a different one for high blood pressure and all these different things. It's the same for all of them, because, as I said earlier, the radical unifying theory that I put in there is they're really the same disease, just manifesting and masquerading in different forms. And that makes it radically simple.
100%.
It's fantastic. Guys, I'm loving what I'm seeing in the chat box. Leanne, I just bought the book. Sue, I just bought the book.
Thank you.
Let's see. Ivy bought the book. It's fantastic, guys. Okay. So we have Yosh on the phone. Yosh, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right. What question do you have for Dr. Ornish?
We love you, Yosh. I'm glad that you're here.
I've been with the Master Diabetes program now for almost 2 full years, and the benefits of this lifestyle has really transformed my health in such an awesome way. Really pleased to be here. My question is, I had 2 questions actually. My question is this: I've lost about 50 pounds since I transformed my health. But my blood pressure still seems to be a sticking point, and I'm not quite sure how to address this. My physician says that sodium, altering my sodium probably is not going to make a big enough change to eliminate my blood pressure meds. I'd like to get off as many meds as possible. So my first question for you is, what is the role of sodium in the disease process? Is it only for hypertension, or are there other benefits of reducing sodium from your diet? That's my first question.
Okay, well let me address the time.
Yosh, 1 second. Dr. Ornish is going to answer that first question.
Okay.
So high blood pressure is caused by many different factors, of which diet is one, but certainly not the only one. And so the program that I have addresses a number of things at the same time. And as I mentioned briefly earlier, there's a synergy that comes when you change a lot of factors in your lifestyle at the same time that goes beyond the additive benefits if you did them individually. There's a synergy where you get an exponential benefit. And sometimes it takes that in order to reduce your blood pressure sufficiently that your doctor would feel comfortable reducing or getting you off these medications. Because when your blood pressure is high, you do need to have it come down. If you can't get it done through lifestyle, then you do need to be on medication. But most people don't make changes big enough to get them off their blood pressure drugs. And also the lifestyle, the diet alone is not enough. Now, sodium, as I mentioned earlier, attracts water. So your body keeps a very narrow concentration range of sodium in your blood. It's usually between like 135 and 145 milliequivalents per liter. And so if you eat a lot of salt, then that means the concentration is going to go up. So how can your body get that concentration back to a normal range? Well, one of two ways. One is you pee it out, and the other is that you can hold on to water, so you dilute it. Now, if you dilute it, if you have more volume in a closed system, then the pressure goes up. Think about, like a garden hose. If you put the nozzle smaller, then the pressure goes up. And then you get into a vicious cycle where the higher pressure kind of hits the wall of the arteries in your kidneys and over time can damage it. And the damaged kidneys get rid of the sodium less efficiently, so it becomes a vicious cycle. Now, to actually get your blood pressure to come down to the point where you may be able to get off drugs, you may need to restrict your sodium intake a lot more than what your doctor's currently recommending. I'm only speculating. And at first, the food tastes like it needs more salt, but after a couple of weeks, your palate adapts, and you actually prefer foods that didn't taste normal. You go out to dinner, suddenly the same food that you used to taste tastes fine, tastes too salty, because your palate. The same is true for fat. If you reduce the amount of fat in your diet, at first the food tastes like it's not fatty enough, and then after a while, it's fine. If you go back out, it's one of the reasons why it's actually easier to make big changes, because if you're always eating some salt on some days and not on the other, then your palate never gets a chance to adapt. So if you can also combine that with the stress management, because as we talked about earlier, just like stress causes your cholesterol to go up, stress causes your blood pressure to go up. And it's part of the fight or flight response. It's really part of a system that's designed we've evolved to protect ourselves. Because if a saber-toothed tiger jumps out at you, you want your blood pressure to go up, you want your stress hormones to go out, you want your arteries to constrict, you want your blood arteries to dilate so you can deal with the danger. But it's over fairly soon. Either you kill the saber-toothed tiger or it eats you or you run away, but one way or another, it's over. But in modern times, these stressors are so much more chronic that they're chronically activating these mechanisms, which then turn out not only to protect us, but can actually harm us or even kill us, because now our blood pressure is up all the time, not just during the emergency. Our muscles are tight all the time, so our necks and back get really sore. Our arteries constrict not just if the tiger bites you, but in your arteries in your heart, which can cause a heart attack, or in your brain can cause a stroke. So when you change your diet, when you eat well, when you exercise, which also brings your blood pressure down, when you move more, when you stress less by meditating and doing the stress management techniques, and when you have more love in your life, then your blood pressure will come down, probably again under your doctor's care, to the point where you may be able to reduce and get off these medications. The one thing alone is not going to do it.
Yosh, you had another question too. What was the second question?
Yeah. So another issue that I'm dealing with is the fact my fasting C-peptide is low.
The one, peptide, is what?
This fasting C-peptide is low.
Okay.
So my question was, what are your thoughts on beta cell regeneration with things like fasting mimicking diet, or how would you advise a patient of yours to manage that? I'm trying to resist insulin. Because I know it's another something that in my busy routine that I just don't want to have to do if I don't need to. Is there a way to manage that? My daytime sugars seem to be okay. My fasting morning sugars tend to be high. So my A1C is below 6.
Well, here's the thing. You're a borderline type 2 diabetic, it sounds like. And again, the problem with type 2 diabetes is that your body's making probably even more insulin than most people, but your cells have become less sensitive to it because of the constant stimulation, as we talked about earlier. So if you can, intermittent fasting can actually be good. If you can make, dinner your light meal and try not to eat after 6 or 6:30.
Yeah.
Don't begin until the next morning at 6:30 or 7 or 8. So you've got a 12 or 13-hour fast. That will help to make and then again, if you can eat a plant-based diet, strictly when you're eating during the morning and lunch times, then those cells that are insulin resistant can wake up and become more insulin sensitive. Neil Barnard did a wonderful study showing just in a few weeks how, and we've certainly seen that in our studies as well, that even the same person who's on the same dose of insulin, their blood sugar starts to get too low. They have to reduce or get off the medication because their islet cells in their pancreas begin to wake up and begin to function more normally.
Right. Yosh, thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you in the Facebook group.
Yep. Yeah, we'll do. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
All right.
And the Facebook group is a perfect example of community, and what you've done here so beautifully is actually created a community of people who can love and support each other and destigmatize the issue and start to feel normal as opposed to, oh gosh, I'm different because I've got diabetes. You say, actually, you're not. And there's a lot more than you can do about it. Again, not to blame, but to empower.
I'd like to provide an update on sales, Cyrus. We have more sales coming in, okay? Brenda bought the book. Randy bought the book. Penny bought the book. Or Penny. Suzanne. Cynthia bought it on Kindle, and she's going to start reading it tonight. So that's fantastic. There are some people who worried they couldn't buy it during the webinar. If you click that button in the lower right part of your screen that says Buy Book, that's going to open up a new tab. And then you'll get to this page at the top. You click Order Now. You'll have all these different booksellers you can buy it from, and you just buy it for wherever you like shopping.
And if for whatever reason you can't get it that way, just go to Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com and get it online.
Mm-hmm. You can go to Amazon.
But do it before Saturday night. That's the deadline for this week, and this is the week if we're going to make it on the list that we'll likely do it, given Ellen and a lot of the other media that we've been doing, including this show.
So what you can do is go to Amazon and type in The Man, The Myth, The Legend, and then the book will just pop up right there. Jane is the big winner tonight, actually, because she said, I already bought the book, but in light of your challenge to get on the New York Times bestselling list, I bought 2 more copies to give to the family. Look at this.
Thank you.
This is great.
It makes a great Father's Day present.
Absolutely. Okay.
Dr. Ornish, we want to be respectful of your time. How many more calls do you want to do?
Well, let's see. What time is it now? We've got time for maybe 2 or 3 more calls.
Okay, let's do it. Cyrus, you want to do another written question and I'll dial somebody up?
I got you. Okay, here's the question. Okay, somebody says, I'm living with insulin resistance. I was talking with a doctor recently who told me that I have to eat eggs because I quote unquote need cholesterol because every cell and tissue in my body requires it. True or false?
It's partially true. Your body does need cholesterol. It's a building block for nerve coverings, for cell membranes, for sex hormones, for steroids, for lots of things that are really necessary to your survival. But it's precisely because it's so important that your body will always make all the cholesterol that you need. There's no dietary requirement for cholesterol. It's 0. And people say, well, if you eat a lot of cholesterol, your cholesterol doesn't go up that much. But that's because you've saturated and downregulated the receptors. But we found, and other studies have found, that the more dietary cholesterol is in your diet, the more it causes blockages to build up in your arteries. It's not just the saturated fat, but the dietary cholesterol itself plays an important role. And so your doctor's wrong that he's right that it's important, but it's precisely because it is so important. The dietary requirement for cholesterol is 0. Now, it's also a concern that I have about cholesterol-lowering drugs. I think that if a person is not willing to change their lifestyle and they have heart disease, those drugs can be beneficial. But they have their side effects too. And one of the side effects of cholesterol-lowering drugs is a higher incidence of type 2 diabetes. So you're kind of chasing your tail because, as you know, one of the complications of diabetes is heart disease. So if you can get your blood level of cholesterol, and we found an average 40% reduction, 40, in LDL in a few weeks in these patients, which we published in the Journal of the AMA, just from lifestyle changes alone, but they made bigger changes than what most doctors recommend. So if you're willing to make bigger changes, most people find their LDL will come down to the point where they don't need to be on drugs. If for whatever reason you're not willing to do that, then those drugs may be a better choice. But I don't think they're the best first choice for people.
Fantastic. We have Jerry on the phone. Can you hear us, Jerry?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Go ahead. Dr. Ornish is ready for your question.
Okay, about 4 years ago, I had a blood clot in my leg, in my left leg, and about 2 months after that, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So I've been on metformin, and the last few drugs they gave me was Trulicity. The Januvia wasn't working. About November, I went on a plant-based diet following Robin Cyrus's protocol, and then I've read Dr. Furman's book also, helped out tremendously. I finally started losing weight when I took oil in my diet completely. And I got, and I
I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said? You broke up.
sugar is stabilizing very well. My fasting is around 100, sometimes in the 80s. It's really good. But the problem that I've developed is in that leg that I had that blood clot. The doctor called it an iron deposit, and the skin is extremely irritated. And he says that'll never go away. If I continue with, of course, not if I continue, I will continue with a whole food plant-based diet. It's a tremendous way to live. But will that leg ever clear up?
Okay, so you're asking about a blood clot in your leg. You're wondering if that will, what's there? What?
No, that's gone. That's been 4 years ago, and that's gone. But what's happened is I developed a dry patch, and the doctor called it an iron deposit.
Okay, so you have a dry patch that your doctor's called an iron deposit, and you're wondering if that will go away.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, there's something called hemosiderin and hemochromatosis, but those are different diseases than diabetes alone. So it's hard to know what he really means or she really means by that. I'm not sure what an iron deposit, why going on a plant-based diet, because most of the heme iron you find is in animal protein. It's one of and the heme that's in fact, it's part of the concern I have about the Impossible Burger, even though it's plant-based, is it has the heme iron, and the heme iron oxidizes cholesterol to a form that actually makes it more likely to end up in your arteries. And so unless you have, one of these different conditions that's separate from your type 2 diabetes, I don't think they're related.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking also, if it was a separate condition.
It is a separate condition. So I wouldn't, I would go to a different doctor or get more evidence from the doctor you currently have to explain what it is that you have, so then you can figure out what to do about it.
Okay. All right. I thank you guys so much for all your help, and I'll look forward to reading that book.
Yeah, Jerry, did you already buy it?
I will, absolutely, as soon as I get off the phone.
Okay, as soon as you got off the phone. Good, you got to buy it tonight. All right, thanks, Jerry.
It's cheaper than a doctor's consultation.
It's much cheaper than a doctor's consultation.
And much more effective. Great.
Okay, let's see who else we can get on the phone here.
All right, it looks like we probably have time for maybe one more.
We'll do one last question. Yeah.
Somebody asked, can kidneys be healed? In the chat.
Well, when your kidneys start to get damaged, and often by high blood pressure in the ways that we talked about earlier, we've actually had a number of patients who were, on the verge of needing dialysis, and because it's a lot easier for your kidneys to metabolize plant-based protein than animal protein, and so a diet that's very low in animal protein or has no animal protein, that's also low in fat and sugar, is much easier on your kidneys, and they can, and also then as your blood pressure starts to come down, all these things together can work to help heal your kidneys. So, like I said, we don't have randomized trial data the way that we do with these other conditions, but anecdotally we see this a lot, and again, it can only help you. So it's definitely worth trying, and then you can monitor your creatinine levels and your GFR and things like that, and you'll know for yourself whether or not you're getting better or not.
Excellent. Okay, so we have our last caller for the night. Matthew, you're on with Dr. Ornish.
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it. I became a diabetic in 2007, and I recently had a bout of DKA because I wasn't treating myself appropriately. And now my endocrinologist has told me that I'm a type 1 diabetic based on the GAD test, glutamic acid decarboxylase test, and yet my last C-peptide was 2.3, and I'm just confused as to why the C-peptide would be telling me that my pancreas is creating insulin, and yet my doctor's telling me I'm a type 1. And he said something about being in the honeymoon phase. So that's my question.
I see. Well, I would ask your doctor, or you can get a second opinion about that, because it's useful to know. But another way to look at it is to say whether it's type 1 or type 2, you can benefit from this kind of diet. Now, you're going to benefit probably more quickly and to a larger degree if you have type 2 diabetes. But type 1, as you know, is a deficiency of insulin production, that the islet cells in the pancreas that produce insulin are not functioning as well. But again, one of the major complications of both type 1 and type 2 diabetes is heart disease and stroke. And we know that a plant-based diet in combination with these other lifestyle factors will significantly not only reduce your risk, but actually even reverse it if you already have early or moderate disease that you may not even be aware of. So I would first ask your doctor for a better understanding of what you actually are dealing with. But whichever one it is, to the extent that you can follow these diet and lifestyle changes, it's likely to benefit you.
There you go. Excellent.
Thank you
I
so
want
much.
to just say in closing that I'm so grateful to you guys for not just for helping me with the New York Times list, but especially for that, but for what you do week after week in terms of creating this beautiful community of people, helping support and love each other, empowering everyone with information that can truly transform their lives, and it becomes like a ripple effect where each of these people that listens to your show and transforms their lives becomes another like pebble in the pond with rippling waves. And I'm sure there are just tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and maybe even millions of people by now who've been affected and whose lives you may have even saved that you may never hear from. But I just want to say here that I recognize the power of what you're doing and honor and salute it and feel grateful for the chance to be co-conspirators together. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Dr. Ornish. I got to say, you personally changed not only my life, but also you've helped my dad out because he got a quintuple bypass about 8 years ago. And the very first thing that I did for him was I bought Spectrum and I said, here you go. And he read it. He was like, oh my God, I want to do this. Let's do this. Right. So, Robbie and I like to follow in the footsteps of leaders, and you've been an excellent leader so far. And you continue to inspire not only us, but millions of people around the planet. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, God bless you both, and hope to be on your show again before too long.
Fantastic.
All right,
Hopefully
take
you
care.
got at least 100 new book sales.
Oh, God bless you both. Thank you. And all your people. Everyone who bought one, thank you. You've made a difference, not only in terms of the book, but in terms of the list. And if that happens, then you'll usually take a lot of credit for that. So thanks again.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. Thanks again.
Guys, this has been a lot of fun. We actually have a special bonus we want to give you tonight. All right, so we're going to go into that in a second. Multiple bonuses. Yes. Also, just want to say, this has been fantastic. You guys buying the book. I mean, you are not going to be disappointed. Okay, I can promise you, it's worth every penny. Just the recipes alone. So glad you guys are buying it. If you haven't yet, grab yourself a copy.
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you guys so much for for being here, for not only purchasing the book, but also doing it during this time period to try and get this into the New York Times bestsellers list, because it is so important for a book that's close to getting on the list to be able to actually hit the list. And when a book hits the list, it's just like it gets gasoline poured on it and it just lights up. It goes all over the place. It spreads so much farther than it would otherwise if it didn't hit the list. So it means a lot to us that you guys are purchasing this book. But for Dr. Ornish, it's going to mean hopefully 10 times more. So thank you. Put it to play, because here's the truth. The stuff that you read in Dr. Ornish's book is 97.8% exactly what we have in our program. We tend to have a little bit more of a spin specifically on how to treat insulin resistance than Dr. Ornish does, but that's okay because he has the cardiovascular thing down pat. Point being, when you adopt the Mastering Diabetes program, when you adopt the Dr. Ornish Undo It lifestyle, the changes are practically identical to each other, and they work. If you put them into play, they work 99.9997% of the time. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to, before we get into our special offer here, I think we had a couple of callers basically asking about type 1.5 diabetes. And it's something we're really passionate about educating you all about and providing support and information. So, I mean, for Matthew, we can just point blank say, we don't diagnose here. We can give you information. We can point you towards resources. You can type in C-peptide mastering diabetes into Google. You will find a very thorough article about this whole topic. But when you have at least one antibody, one of 5 known diabetes antibodies that is, high, this puts you basically into the type 1.5 diabetes category, essentially. And if your C-peptide is, lower and you're seeing blood glucose challenges, that's basically what's going on. And we don't know why. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take. Your doctor calls it a honeymoon phase. We can call it, just a slow onset of type 1. However you want to phrase it, type 1.5 is real. It's happening to a lot of people. We are helping a lot of people. We just published a podcast on this topic. So the best thing we can say is educate yourself, stay on top of your numbers, maybe even get more antibodies tested if you want to and have more data. But it's real, and we're here to help you. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Cyrus.
Yeah. So if his main question was, my C-peptide is at 2.3, but yet I tested positive for the GAD antibody. So what's going on? If I'm positive for GAD, shouldn't my C-peptide be 0.2? Right? What's going on? So this idea that that you could be in a honeymoon phase is one potential explanation, which effectively means that from the time that you're diagnosed with some version of autoimmune diabetes, your insulin production capacity has not already fallen to 0. It's on a downward trend towards 0. And the amount of time that it takes to get from full insulin production to 0 depends on a number of factors. If you get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which usually is a very fast progression, you can go from being fully being able to secrete insulin to being able to secrete 0 insulin within 12 to 18 months. That's considered fast. For most people living with type 1.5 diabetes, it's a slower progression. It might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. The beauty in both situations is that you can slow down the rate at which beta cells fail, because it's an inevitable downward slope, simply by transitioning to a low-fat plant-based whole food diet. So the Mastering Diabetes program, the Dr. Ornish program, the Dr. Joel Furman program, the Rip Esselstyn program, all of these programs are designed to slow the rate of beta cell death, and they do so very well. So, even if you're at a 2.3 right now, the goal would be to try and arrest and slow down the rate of beta cell failure into the future. And you can do that again by adopting the most anti-inflammatory diet ever invented.
Absolutely. So I see a few questions in the chat box. I'm not sure if we have anybody answering questions in the chat box right now, but if you're looking for our podcast, you can easily find it on all podcast platforms. It's on our website. Just type in Mastering Diabetes Audio Experience. It's also on iTunes, Spotify. You'll see it there. If people need to contact us for any reason, our email address is team@masteringdiabetes.org. You can learn more about things we have going on. We can provide resources there, so we're here for you there. We just love helping people with diabetes.
100%. All right, here's what I think we should do. Let's switch over. We'll talk to you guys a little bit about the Mastering Diabetes Coaching Program. We got a really special offer for you. We got multiple bonuses for you today. Woo. Getting attacked by dinosaur flies here. and then we'll do as much more Q&A after that. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick.
Anthony, the name of the book is called Undo It. Undo It by Dean Ornish. You can find it on Amazon, everywhere.
Can you see my screen around me?
I sure can. So here it is. The world's first online coaching program designed to teach you how to maximize your insulin sensitivity. It's exactly what Cyrus was talking about. That's what we really, really focus on here at Mastering Diabetes, is reversing insulin resistance, maximizing insulin sensitivity, and all the nuances that go into executing that.
this is what we're going to teach you guys how to eat. Okay, if you see the food that's on the screen right here, low fat, plant-based, whole food nutrition. Okay, this food, I want to know if this food looks appetizing to you, because when I look at this stuff, I get hungry instantly. Beans, legumes, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, you name it. Okay, we're talking calorie dense, really tasty stuff.
In the chat box, if you would like to be able to eat these foods and have full control of your blood glucose, type yes. Type yes in the chat box if this stuff looks appealing and you want to eat it.
Especially the fruits. I know most people living with diabetes have been terrified of eating fruit for years. And if you are a fruit, if you enjoy eating fruit and you want to eat more of it, I want to see the word yes.
Okay, I got some yes is all caps. Yes looks yummy. Yes, yes, yes. We're getting flooded with yeses.
Yeah. As soon as you see pictures of fruit, that's when the yeses come out. Even this stuff on here in the bottom, this is nice cream. This is literally like bananas blended up. It's one of the most carborific foods you can possibly put in your mouth, and this right here becomes a double green light option. I kid you not. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's how our program works. We have created 3 tools, all right? 3 easy, simple to use tools that are effective. We have an online course, we have a community, which Dr. Ornish was talking about, and then we have live Q&A calls where you get your questions answered in person. So we'll go into each one of these in a little bit of detail. The online course is specifically designed to be easy to understand, easy to follow, and we have this whole thing executed by expert coaches, okay? And your success, just like Dr. Ornish was saying, how important community is, all right? And it's contagious, okay? Cyrus, do you want to do a summary of each one of our coaches real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let's go through them here real quick. Let's back up one slide. That's me on the left right here. I have a PhD in nutritional biochemistry. I've been living with type 1 diabetes now for 17 years. And I specifically went to school so that I could get through the hoopla and try and understand what is real. And in that process, I learned how to reverse insulin resistance using your food as medicine. And that's where, Robbie and I started to create this program together. The next person we got, Robbie Barbero, living with type 1 diabetes. He was diagnosed in 2002. Correct me if I'm wrong, Robbie?
2000.
2000. He beat me by 2 years. So he's been living with type 1 diabetes for 19 years now. Robbie has tried every diet under the sun, and without question, a low-fat, plant-based, whole food diet makes him the most insulin sensitive he's ever been. He no longer has plantar fasciitis. He no longer has acne. He's got tons of energy, and this guy pounds fruit like it's his job.
Look at that memory, Cyrus. That's great.
Hey, I'm here for you, buddy. Kylie Buckner, this is my wife. She's a registered nurse, and she also has a master's degree. She's got more than 20 years of nursing experience. She is brilliant, and she's one of our head coaches. She teaches all types of things about how to communicate effectively with your doctor. She has a wealth of experience with gestational diabetes and polycystic ovarian syndrome. And she is a coach that you will get direct access to on a daily basis because she's active in our online community, which I'll tell you about in a second. Then we got Adam Sudd. Adam Sudd is now half the man he used to be. He used to be 320 pounds. The guy now weighs 160 pounds. He's literally cut his body weight in half. He used to be addicted to drugs. He used to sell drugs on the street. He was addicted to fast food. He has been diagnosed with ADHD from a very young age. And he was in a world of pain not too long ago. He started making changes to his diet. He dropped a tremendous amount of weight, reversed type 2 diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and a whole collection of other diseases, which I'm blanking on right now.
Bipolar. He's on bipolar medications. Mood stabilizers. A long list.
He is also active in our Facebook community every single day, and this guy is he's a subtle genius. Let's put it that way. Mark Ramirez also used to live with type 2 diabetes. He has lost 50 pounds, completely reversed type 2 diabetes. Also was diagnosed with erectile dysfunction, which he's very open about, as we were talking with Dr. Ornish earlier. He reversed type 2 diabetes. He lost 50 pounds. He is now a huge force for good. Him and his wife, Kim, go around educating people about the benefits of a plant-based diet. He's also a coach that you'll get access to in the Mastering Diabetes program. He's active in our daily community every single day.
Exactly right. Cyrus, why don't you do a brief overview of the 3 tools: the online course, the Facebook group, and the
Okay, so let's go backwards here. So this online course, what we do is we give you access to this online course, which gives you a step-by-step manual, effectively, for walking through the process of changing your diet from the ground up. We know over the course of time that people with diabetes have become overwhelmed with not only too much information, but conflicting information that is not evidence-based. We see it all the time, and it is very frustrating. It looks scientific, but it's not actual, real science. Our online course teaches you a step-by-step method on how to change your breakfast, on how to change your lunch, on how to change your dinner, how to integrate intermittent fasting into your regimen, how to exercise, when to exercise, how to control your blood glucose before, during, and after exercise. We go into a lot of detail about many aspects of the Mastering Diabetes method, and we do it with 100% evidence-based information. There isn't a single piece of information in here that's not backed by science. That's what differentiates us from many other diabetes programs on the market today.
Cyrus, remember that Bad Medicine song we were playing? It reminds me of that because, yeah, I mean, again, all the confusion because, yes, a lot of the other experts, they're citing science, but it's bad science. It's bad research, like saying a low-fat diet, but it wasn't a low-fat diet in the study. It was 30% of calories from fat. So this is really solid, great evidence-based information.
The second tool we give you is access to our online community. So this is a private Facebook group, and we also have a private non-Facebook group if you don't like Facebook. And here you can basically ask questions and get access to our coaches, Kylie, Mark, and Adam, on a daily basis, all day long, every single day. We tell people we'll get back to you within 24 hours, and that's a way over exaggeration. We'll usually get back to you within 2. And so you can ask questions, you can learn from other people, you can share your experience, and you can really feel like you're part of a strong community here of people that are just like you who are going through this process together. We are the only coaching program that I know of that does weekly group intermittent fasts, which means that if you're on an intermittent fasting schedule, you can actually perform an intermittent fast together with many other people all around the planet at the exact same time. It's a really fun way to get accountability and to make sure that you're progressing as you go through this process. And then third, finally, last but not least, we have twice monthly video conferences. And in these video conferences, we invite you to come spend time with any of our coaches. Sometimes the coach is Robbie, sometimes the coach is me, sometimes the coach is Kylie, sometimes it's Adam, sometimes it's Mark. But we create an environment here where you can troubleshoot and personalize this process. So come, ask us questions, learn from other people, get to know us as coaches. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. This is designed to be a way that you can really personalize this process and make sure that you're getting the most out of it and continue to improve your overall health every single time.
Absolutely. We have a lot of great questions coming in the chat box, and we are going to answer them, so stick with us. And like we said earlier, being part of a community, the success is contagious. When you see people day after day after day saying, I just went to my doctor, got my best A1C. I have just lost 30 pounds. I actually can play with my kids now. We had a post recently came in where a woman, for the first time on her anniversary, wasn't in the hospital. And her husband was like, wow, I forgot how beautiful you are when you're not sick. I mean, it's like these amazing, heartwarming, just life-changing transformations. And when you see that and are surrounded by that, it's really powerful because our regular everyday environment, that's not what we see. We see people making jokes about us eating rabbit food or whatever. It's a little bit of a challenge out there. But learning and having this community, this home to go to is really powerful.
100%. I couldn't agree with you. We actually have an internal messaging platform where we're constantly sharing other people's testimonials and sort of success stories. And these things are coming in at such a tremendous rate these days that it's like I get up in the morning and I just read one thing after another, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. This is so much better than I even anticipated it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a question in the chat box. How much is this going to cost? Well, I got very good news for you. You're going to get a very special offer tonight. So the online course alone, all the step-by-step instructions, information, recipes, videos, valued at $1,200. All right. Then once you add in the Facebook group, the community, that's going to be valued at $1,000. Again, like Cyrus said, our team is in there every day answering questions. It's really valuable. Members only content. So we're talking about things like recipe videos, things like intermittent fast, things like live Q&As that we're doing, always answering your questions, $1,500. Okay. It's already adding up to a lot, but you guys are going to be amazed what the real price is. So then you also include the video conferences. That's valued at $1,200. Everybody's questions getting answered, the time. You add this all up. What does it come out to? That's going to be a large number, almost $5,000.
Don't
Okay.
be scared by that number. That's the value of the program. That's not actually.
Before we get into the actual price, which again is amazing, we got some bonuses tonight, Cyrus. What do we got?
100%. Okay, so here's the first bonus that we're just going to give you guys. We have done some webinars in the past, and some of these webinars are like, we picked out the best of the best. So we're going to give you a total of 6 webinars. That's more than 7 hours of life-saving information, and this is valued at easily over $200. We're just going to give it to you for free. So this is things about, how to prevent reverse heart disease, how to master emotional eating if that affects you, what the deal with the ketogenic diet is, and how you can actually learn from evidence-based science as opposed to pseudoscience. We teach you about your cholesterol. We teach you about AMLA, which is an insane superfood that can actually significantly improve your overall metabolic health in addition to a plant-based diet. And we're going to teach you about some common myths about blood glucose control that just aren't true. So this is yours for free. You take it, it's yours. Watch it on your own time. Learn from this stuff, and hopefully it'll add some serious value to your life. The second thing that we're also going to give you guys today is just a collection of food prep videos. So we're going to give you 5 different videos here about how to prepare foods like squash and potatoes, how to create a mango and peach salad. We're going to give you some Instant Pot tips that are really, really helpful if you don't already own an Instant Pot. It might be something worth picking up. We're going to teach you how to shop for beans and canned vegetables in the grocery store and save time and money. And then we're going to talk to you a little bit about, what's happening with your blood glucose when you eat certain types of foods. So you'll get all these videos. Again, this is close to a $200 value, and it's yours for free. So you'll get basically both of these guys, and we're happy to just give it to you for free. I'm going to move this little bar here. Okay, so we have a waiting list, and the waiting list has been in effect now for a little over 9 months. And the reason we have a waiting list in the first place is because the demand to get into the program is quite high, and we don't have the infrastructure right now to expand it indefinitely. And we are also like I said earlier, highly individualized coaching program in the sense that, yes, you join a community of other people, but the more active you are, the more active you ask us questions, the more you participate in the Facebook group, the more you come to the bi-weekly Q&A video conferences, the more we can help. And we will get to know you over time, and we will give you the direct personal attention that you probably have not received from your doctor, from your nurse, from other coaching programs, from any other weight loss program that you might have tried. We mean business here. We are serious about helping you, and the more effort you put into it, the more you will get out of it. So as a result of that, we had to slow the rate at which we were letting people in. We have hundreds of people on the waiting list right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to bypass the waiting list, but this is very temporary. And this is in celebration of Father's Day. So Father's Day is coming up on Sunday. And if you join the coaching program before Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time or midnight, you can bypass the waiting list, and we'll give you all those bonuses for free. And this is your opportunity to get started and get into it without having to wait, and to really transform your life starting right now.
Yeah, so you can click the button right on the lower right portion of the screen. Should be a Join Now button, and you can get in, and it's immediate. You get access right away. So we would love to work with you, and just like Cyrus said, this is personalized. This is a personalized program. That's why we do coaching. We get these questions all the time, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's in person, whether it's even on these webinars. And people have good questions and good things they're trying to overcome. But we can't just do it with one quick answer. We got to work together. We got to learn some more details. We want to know everything we can about you. We want to know all the details so we can help you go through this lifestyle change process in an effective manner that lasts long term. Not about Band-Aid quick solutions here. Evidence-based program that lasts for life. That's why we say all over our website, all on our program, reverse insulin resistance permanently. That's what we're doing here.
Guaranteed, 100%. That's another thing that I want to say too, is that there's a lot of programs out there, whether you're talking about something like Jenny Craig or whether it's another type of weight loss program. And for the most part, you do it and you're sort of, if you don't get results, people aren't going to, they're not really going to care. Let's put it that way. We guarantee results. And what we mean by that is you come in, you apply the principles, you show us that you are adopting the Mastering Diabetes method, that you are putting it into play, that you are making it work. We have your back. If for whatever reason it doesn't work for you and you can show us documented proof of you going through the program and actually doing it, we will give you your money back. This is literally zero risk. That hasn't happened to us very much. There have been a few isolated circumstances where we've had to give some refunds, and we're happy to do it. But I want you guys to understand that this is not something that you're just going to, potentially invest in and then walk away and be like, oh, well, I tried that thing and it didn't work, and that was a waste of my time and money. Okay? We're not here about wasting your time. We don't want to waste your money. We want you to get results and have this literally be the last coaching program that you ever have to do. That's it. Make this the last program you ever have to do.
Cyrus, can you go to the next slide? Because we see the waiting list slide. I want people to know the price. The price is $399 for an entire year. It's a year subscription. So the affordability comes down to a little more than $33 a month to be a part of this. So
sorry, something with my screen share.
Yeah, that's okay. He just got stuck on that waitlist slide. But that's how it works, guys. Again, it's a year subscription because we want people who are dedicated. If you're ready, you're focused, you're like, I'm ready to do this. I want the results. It's a long-term solution. We're not interested in just Band-Aids, okay? So that's why it's a year long. We're committed to working with you the entire year until this stuff is just second nature. You don't have to think about it anymore. And you can get there. It doesn't happen overnight, but you can get there. And that's what the program's for.
100%. A lot of people have been telling us, a lot of people have been advising us to change the price of the program and actually increase it. So over the course of the next couple of months, the price of the program will be going up. So this is also one of your last opportunities to get in for this price right now. This is the cheapest that it may ever be. And like I told you before, not only will you bypass the waiting list, you'll also get $394 in free bonuses. So if you've been even remotely thinking about this, you're on the fence, you're not sure, you have reservations, this is going to work for me, I don't want to get started now, just commit. I'm telling you, it works like wildfire. You put it into play, it will change your life. Period. End of story.
No questions asked. We have a question here. I had a double bypass surgery 2 months ago, and I was told I had 50% blockage, carotid arteries. Can your diet, lifestyle, and the right supplements remove these blockages? I was also told that I had acute kidney disease, so I do not know what to eat for these two problems.
Yes.
So I will tell you, I mean, the blockages don't just completely go away. That's not how this happens. So, but they can be, you can see small changes in the blockage that has a huge impact. So if you want to, you can go to Google, you can take the time to actually read Dr. Ornish's study and see the percent change in the arteries. You don't need a huge percent change in opening to have a dramatic impact on your health. And the key is to make sure things don't worsen. And that is what lifestyle will accomplish. And we've seen people reverse kidney disease on our program. So Sana was living with stage 3 kidney disease, and she reversed it. So this happens consistently when people adopt a low-fat, plant-based whole food lifestyle while working with their physician along the way to make medication adjustments.
Absolutely. And then as far as chronic kidney disease is concerned, chronic kidney disease, or CKD, is a common diabetes complication that happens in many people who are living with insulin resistance. So to a certain extent, you can think of chronic kidney disease as either being insulin resistance of your kidney, or you can think of it as being atherosclerosis of your kidney. In either situation, you basically have vessels, blood vessels inside of your kidney that get hardened over time. And when they get hardened, the blood flow through them is not as simple and is not as easy as it previously was. So as a result of that, nutrients can't necessarily get inside of your kidney as well. And the rate at which your kidney operates or is able to filter your blood goes down. And so over the course of time, this can cause inflammation and your kidney can begin to shut down quickly. So whether you've been diagnosed with stage 1 kidney disease, stage 2 kidney disease, stage 3 kidney disease, or what's called stage 4 ESRD, end-stage renal disease or end-stage renal failure, at all points in this spectrum, you can move from one stage to the previous, to the previous, to the previous. We have multiple people in our group that have reversed chronic kidney disease. Raj is a good example of somebody who reversed an enlarged fatty liver. And also we have Sana, who completely reversed chronic kidney disease, stage 3. Okay, these are just 2 examples of people who have seen tremendous improvements in their visceral organs. Okay, so point being is that chronic kidney disease is definitely reversible, but you got to put the right lifestyle into play, and you got to do it quickly, and you got to do it diligently. When that happens, the world is your oyster.
And in a lot of cases, I mean, I know Cyrus and I both had this in our own lives. Like, this is the greatest wake-up call, the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
If you say, okay, you know what, this is really serious, and now I really got to kick it into gear. I got to follow the program step by step by step and stick with it. You will look back and say, this was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because my health is the best it's ever been, and I'm actually going to live a longer, better, more enjoyable life because of it.
There's no question about it. There's no question about it. Okay, so here's a couple questions. John Dill says, mastering diabetes is totally worth it. Do it, folks. Thank you. You will thank you.
Let me answer the DHA. How best to get DHA on a vegan plant-based? Okay, basically, when it comes to essential fatty acids, like basically, or fatty acids, EPA, DHA, the human body is designed to create those when you consume enough of the essential fatty acids, okay? Alpha linoleic acid and linoleic acid, ALA and LA. And our diet is absolutely abundant and plentiful of those essential fatty acids. And when you stop consuming too much of the omega-6 fats, your body's able to do the conversion. So that's what happens on our program. And we encourage people to objectify this whole process. If you're concerned about that, if you're having symptoms, get a test from Omega Quant, omegaquant.com, and you can have your fatty acid profile tested, and then you can decide what to do after you get that test back and what lifestyle adjustments you want to make, whether you want to use supplementation or whether you want to use just diet, and then get retested in 4 months, because that's the life cycle of your red blood cells, and you can see what progress you have made and really truly understand, do you need a supplement or not, and really get confident that you have more than enough fatty acids and that you're absorbing them. And that's really best done by getting tested. No fluff, no imaginary, this or that. Like, get tested. It's totally worth it. The price for that test, I believe, is $59. They send it to your house. You prick your finger. You put the blood on basically a cloth, and you mail it back to them. You get your results in about a week or so. Cyrus and I have both done this. We actually write about it in our upcoming book. So, and we actually talked about it in an interview during our summit. So this is a topic we're very passionate about, done a lot of research on. You do not need to worry about fat or fatty acids when following the Mastering Diabetes method.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's another question from Joyce. She says, do you not have to take any insulin eating this way? Okay, so Joyce, it depends. I can't answer that question with a blanket statement. Here's the deal. If you're living with type 1 diabetes or type 1.5 diabetes, in those two situations, trying to avoid insulin altogether is an extremely dangerous game that is not something we recommend. The goal of living with any version of autoimmune diabetes is not to get off of insulin, it's to use a physiologically normal amount of insulin that your pancreas would otherwise normally secrete if you were non-diabetic. Most people living with autoimmune diabetes end up taking excess insulin on a daily basis because they're living with insulin resistance. So they develop insulin resistance onto the surface, then they start to use a little bit more insulin today, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and before you know it, now their insulin use is 50% or sometimes 100% as high as it should be. So if you're living with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, and in that situation, if you're not insulin dependent, what we do is we teach you how to adopt the Mastering Diabetes method so that you can maximize your chances of never needing insulin. Okay? Most people, over the course of time, living with type 2 diabetes may progress to a point where they have to actually start injecting insulin. And the goal here is to become so insulin sensitive that the need for insulin completely vanishes and the amount of insulin that your endogenous pancreas is secreting becomes sufficient. So if you want to avoid taking insulin and you're living with, again, prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, we'll give you a strong vote of confidence. But if you're living with autoimmune diabetes, then the chances of you getting off of insulin are slim to none.
Okay, Anthony is asking a question about the subscription. So yes, this is it's a year-long subscription. And the great news is if you get in now at this price, your subscription renews at the price you entered in. So if you want to stick with us for year 2, year 3, you get in at the best price. It's never going to be this low again. So, some of you might already be in at a lower price. In that case, whatever you're in, that's what you get rebilled at. So it's a year-long subscription. If you want to get in at the best price, I highly suggest you take action quickly.
100%. Terry asks, when can we look forward to your book coming out? Terry, thank you for the question. We will be, our book will be coming out in February of 2020. So we're looking at July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So 8 months from now, our book will be hitting the shelves. And I will tell you right now, we are doing everything we possibly can to make this thing a New York Times bestseller. We want it just as much as Dr. Dean Ornish, if not more. And we're going to need your guys' help in order to make that happen. We've put, Robbie, how many hours have we put into writing this book?
It's countless. It's absurd.
7,000 hours. I don't even know. I can't count.
Quite frankly, there's still more hours to be put in. We're in the final process. There's well over 700 citations. It's a labor of love, though.
Yeah. So, in fact, there's so many citations in the book that our publisher said, "Hey guys, we can't put all these citations in the book. You're going to have to put them online. There's too many." And I was like, "Hey, thank you. I appreciate that." Right. So, point being is that it'll be coming out in February. You'll be hearing a lot about it, hopefully, at that time. And we can't wait to share that information with you. We really can't.
100%.
Robert says, I'm a type 2 and wanted to eat oatmeal, so now I take insulin after meals. Can I now be type 1, and how would I know? Okay, so Robert, the answer to that question is you have to know, most importantly, your C-peptide value. We've referenced that multiple times. Your C-peptide value is an indicator of how much insulin your pancreas is capable of secreting right here and right now. If your C-peptide value is very low, then the chances of you needing insulin go up. If your C-peptide value is medium to high, then the chances of you needing insulin are slim to none. So what you do is go to Google and type in Mastering Diabetes, the letter C, and then the word peptide, P-E-P-T-I-D-E. Mastering Diabetes C-peptide. You put that into Google, you'll find our article on C-peptide. Watch the video and read every single word of that article, and it'll clear up everything you ever wanted to know about whether insulin is necessary or not necessary, and how you can find out for yourself.
It's the most, we wrote it in the article, to title the article, it's the most important test for people living with diabetes. It simply is. It really puts into perspective what you're really living with, what your goals can be, and it's really can be life changing for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Cyrus, I think we've answered pretty much all the questions that came in tonight.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So, again, take a look at the offer on your screen. If you are even remotely interested in joining the Mastering Diabetes program, obviously we highly, highly recommend it. We've had multiple thousands of people go through this coaching program with a tremendously high success rate. If you're interested in losing weight and gaining energy, reversing insulin resistance, getting the best blood glucose of your life, dropping your A1C to the point where you can potentially become medication free and or insulin free, this is your opportunity. Don't pass this up. You have until Sunday at midnight Pacific time to join the coaching program. We'll give you almost $400 in bonuses for free, and you can join at the lowest price that the program is likely to ever be, and we'll let you bypass the wait list.
Yeah. Cyrus, I always do this. I always say we're going to end up, and then like a couple questions come in. So there's one I want to answer real quick. So it says, can someone just reverse with plant-based food instead of using meds? So Cyrus kind of answered that. Depending on how much insulin your body is able to produce is going to just depend on whether you can completely reverse type 2 diabetes or not. So we took care of that. Then we have an important question about Amla Green. So why don't you just tell people just a little bit about Amla? I'll paste in the link and they can go learn more on the website.
Okay, cool. Sweet. So Amla Green is the name of a tea that we created. Now, the reason it's called Amla Green is because it contains a very potent super berry called Amla, A-M-L-A. It's called Indian gooseberry. It comes directly from India. And it is the world's most powerful cholesterol-reducing food ever discovered. It also happens to be one of the world's most powerful blood glucose-reducing foods and one of the world's most powerful blood pressure-reducing foods. So all in all, it's a metabolic dream. So we created this product, and it's designed for you to take one scoop and put it into a glass of water and make a tea every day. You make that tea, you drink it, and it becomes a version of a medication, okay? So we have Amla Green. We've done webinars about the benefits of Amla, and sometimes we have offers specifically about Amla. If you are interested in getting Amla into your regimen, you can visit the URL that Robbie put up here at the top of the screen, amlagreen.com. We're not running any particular specials for it right now, but what we highly do recommend is get on the mailing list because we're going to have some specials coming up for Amla Green soon. And if you want to be notified of that, please get on the mailing list and you will get your notification as soon as those specials become available before the general public does hear about it. It's a very highly effective tea that seems to be doing a lot of benefit for many people. And if you're interested in integrating it, I highly recommend it.
100%. Okay, a couple more questions came in. We'll answer them real quick, and then we'll let everybody go tonight. So type 2, no meds. My fasting blood sugars are high. How can I get them down? Tonya, join the coaching program. We're going to help you every step of the way, guaranteed, and we're going to help you out. Kareen asks, after joining, how quickly do I hear back from you? So once you join, you get into the program immediately. You get started. You start following the modules, and just a little inside information for the people who are still with us tonight. When you join, within a short period of time, you hear from our team. You get a phone call, you get a text, we get in touch with you. So basically the point is you join, we're with you very quickly. You start asking questions in the Facebook group. You'll get them approved within 24 hours. We have to make sure that only members are in the group. So it all happens quickly, and we want to get started and get that momentum going and have you seeing some serious improvements. So let's see here. One more question. Do thin, normal weight Indian Pakistani people with diabetes, whom I assume store visceral fat easily, need a stricter lower fat eating pattern than what you, Dr. Ornish, recommend? Reading Dr. Ornish's book and want to know if it will help relatives. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be based on somebody's ethnicity in this specific situation. Whether somebody needs to do something more strict or not is a lot of factors that are involved. In a lot of cases, it has to do with what somebody's C-peptide level is. That is really the kicker when it comes to like the rapid results that people see on this program when it comes to blood glucose management. So again, this is why we designed the program. It's like so we can answer these individual questions for people who are ready and willing to make the change and do it. So we know exactly what's going on with your blood glucose, exactly what you're eating, and then we can make specific modifications on what to adjust and what targets to shoot for. All right. Okay, I promise, Cyrus, this is the last one. The question is, all right, Belinda, like, how safe and healthy is eating tofu and soy products? So soy products do not promote cancer. That whole thing is like a myth. But the reason we have soy products in our yellow light category, even if it's the most whole form, which is edamame, that's the most pure form you can have of a soy product. Then you can have something like tofu or tempeh, which is a little bit more processed. But regardless, they're all still healthy. Research has shown that they're healthy. The problem is that they're just higher in fat. So if you're living with blood glucose challenges, or you have any form of diabetes, eating too much soy products is going to make it difficult to manage your blood glucose. So we teach you how to limit them to the appropriate amount that is good for you. And that's going to be different based on your activity, based on the other foods that you're eating. And that's why we have a personalized coaching program. So don't fear soy. Just be aware of how much you're consuming because of the fat content. All right. Jen says, I missed the offer. What is it? So Jen, you're going to get an amazing bonus. 2 bonuses worth $394. It's kind of like buy one, get one. So you pay $399 to join our coaching program for an entire year. And you get some incredible bonuses about many of our webinars that you can only access through the bonus, and some food prep tips, cooking tips. So that's included. All right. Can you tell me what typed into Google to find out about the C-peptide? Type in C-peptide mastering diabetes, and you'll get an article and a video which gives you everything you need to know about the C-peptide test, where to get tested, how much it's going to cost you. There'll be hyperlinks in there. So just Google C-peptide mastering diabetes, and you will find it. Okay, guys, you've all been here with us for almost 2 hours now, an hour and 45 minutes. Really appreciate your dedication to this information. I mean, Friday night, people could be doing a lot of other things, Cyrus, but they're here with us learning about maximizing their insulin sensitivity.
Talking about diabetes, we need to get lives. All right, well, we will see you guys in another episode. Thanks again. Check your email if you haven't signed up for the program now. You have until Sunday this evening in order to take advantage of getting off the wait list or bypassing the wait list and getting almost $400 of free bonuses. So thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Dr. Ornish really appreciates it as well. And we will catch you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great day.